I did, however, figure out a great way to get out of a fight with a guy like this. As soon as he takes his shirt off, just drop your pants. Right? The guy comes out, I'm gonna kick your butt right now, punk. Oh, yeah? Bring it on! You want a piece of that? You want a piece of that? Don't make me come over there! Why you running, wuss?
Hi, thank you for coming to StarNet Studios. I am Andre Tucker. Today I'm speaking with a comedian who has appeared on shows like Unleashed, almost said Released, but Unleashed, as well as Who Wants to Date a Comedian. And he's also appeared at comedy venues, very well-known places like the Improv and places like that. So, hi, Mr. Jeff Capri. Thank you for being with me. How are you today?
My pleasure, Andre. Happy to be here. And yes, the Comics Unleashed has been released. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
That's even better name for the show, Comics Released. I like that better.
You know what? I like that better as well. So tell me something here. So I've been going over your material and it's some good stuff. And so I kind of want to talk to you about where some of it comes from. Because one thing, and I feel like I can say this one to you, because you'll touch upon things. You'll talk about hair loss, and yeah, I can talk about that because here I am, right here in front of you with that.
You look good without the hair. If I did what you did, I'd look like a burn victim.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking about, because you also talk about that, and then you'll also say there was one, like, I don't want to try to ruin anything here, but there was one where you just talked about hugging. I won't really go too far about the detail about what you talked about hugging, but it's just some funny stuff. So do you like sit down and spend time like writing your material mostly, or is it just things that come to you like, okay, let me jot this down as it's coming in my head?
It's a great question. It's a combination of both. That in the moment something comes into my head and it tickles me or I think it's funny, I will write it down. And then over the years, you've accumulated a bunch of material. So nowadays, within my act, I have a pretty much a set, but something else that comes in, it's like a puzzle. You try and figure out that new thing, where to fit it in, where it could fit in. The hugging thing you're talking about, haven't been able to do that bit since COVID. I'm actually interacting with an audience member and giving them a hug, and the bit is how men hug. Men are generally homophobic, and they do that 3 taps on the back, I'm not gay hug. Unless they are gay.
The tap out.
Then it's 4 taps.
All right. And speaking of which, so you just mentioned COVID. Like, what are some of the other ways that's kind of affected your performance? Because yes, we're having this discussion right now. Currently, the pandemic is happening right now. But do you feel like things are picking up again, or is it still kind of?
Things are picking up slowly, but they are. Work is now available. I have been working, which thank goodness. But it is very different. The material and the pre and post COVID, the way you speak about it in the context of whatever you were talking about or anything you've developed since COVID, fitting that in, just like I was talking about before, those little puzzle pieces, is challenging. But it's also kind of refreshing because it kind of makes everything new. Even some of those old bits, if you put it into today's context, it kind of freshens it up and gives you kind of a new take on it. So there's pros and cons. But yeah, it's been challenging, but I like it.
Yeah.
I don't like the pandemic. I like the challenging part of writing.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said challenging because that reminds me of another thing. Like another one of your pieces, you take on some hecklers who have some things to say to you. So, how often does that come up? And is that annoying, or are they kind of like giving you some fuel, or how's that kind of feel when you're up there?
Well, I take pride in the fact that's a muscle I've developed over the years. If I get heckled, I can handle pretty much anything that comes at me. I mean, it's like I said, it's a muscle I've developed over the years. So uh, it happens in it happens more often than you'd like it to. I mean, generally, ideally, you want to just do what you prepared to do and please the audience. But there's almost, I wouldn't even put a percentage on it. At least half the time, someone's going to say something, and some playful interaction with the audience is fun. What are the pitfalls is some comics, they're not, there's only X amount of time we're allowed to be on stage, and if you have someone following you, doing too much time in the audience is kind of rude. It's kind of a dick move to do to the person following you. Now, if you're going last, anything goes. If you want to spend the whole set talking to somebody, as long as it's funny, it should be all in.
And before you got into comedy yourself, who were some of the comedians who before you came up, or even maybe early when you got into it, who were some of the comedians who you found to be the funniest, or at least who inspires you with your comedy?
Well, give me a little background. I mean, my father is Dick Capri, and he's a comic. So I mean, I just have to say he's my immediate first influence because I was a child when I first learned what stand-up comedy was, and he was all I saw. That was a specific genre. That those Borscht Belt old school Catskill guys is what I first saw. But the guy that changed everything for me when I first saw Richard Pryor live in concert, that was a completely different thing than what these guys did. Not better or worse, just different. And
Yeah.
that really spoke to me and went, oh wow, okay, so you can be funny like this, or you can be funny like this. And so Richard Pryor was huge. And then of course Eddie Murphy, and I could go on naming fabulous comics all day long, but if I have to pick one, it's Richard Pryor and the live in concert at Long Beach set. That's the one that was like watching Michael Jackson the Motown 25 when he did the moonwalk the first time. He's like,
right.
oh, that's it. That's what opened it all up.
Yeah. All right. So originally, like your roots go back to you're currently in the Los Angeles area, and your roots go back to the East Coast, correct?
Correct. Well, that's where my father's from, and that's where he started his career. He was, he used to work the Copacabana and the Playboy clubs, and he was a New York guy. Before there were comedy clubs, it was all the Catskill Mountains and stuff like that. So my roots aren't there. I started in Southern California at the Laugh Stop in Newport Beach in the mid '80s, which was sort of like the end of the big comedy boom. So I was just starting out at the tail end of the comedy boom. So I got the last gasp of that, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, speaking of some other comedy, now there's comedy booms. There's been a boom of reality shows, and one of them that I mentioned earlier was Who Wants to Date a Comedian? Now, when you did that, did you draw in any of your? And I got to tell you, because you were also in the dating game, and I saw some clips from that. I got to tell you, I was rooting for you. I was rooting for you on the dating game, and then you had the Who Wants to Date a Comedian. Did you draw upon? Were there any learning? I know because it was like the other way around this time. Like you were the one who was doing the choosing, but was there anything nostalgic? Did you draw upon any experience? Did you learn anything from those days with the Who Wants to Date a Comedian?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about that in a while. So thank you. Yeah. So the dating game, I think I was just out of high school. I think it was just I was in junior college, and you know, it was just an opportunity, and did it a few times. What was interesting about that though, even back then, that was still pretty organic. They didn't give us any lines. They didn't, you know, they just, you know, they asked the questions and we reacted. That's all pretty organic. The guy in the middle of the one you saw, his name is Brad, and I'm still friends with him today on Facebook, and he's gone on to do some movie. He's like done a whole bunch of extra parts. If you're familiar with the movie Spider-Man, the original with Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
right when he goes to do the cage match, the guy in the audience that goes cage, that's Brad. That's Bachelor number 2. So, but how did I apply any of that to the Who Wants to Date a Comedian? No, I don't think so. That was much more structured. That was a whole day of shooting, and they kind of told us what we were going to do. It was done in 3 sections, but the reactions were organic, and I don't think I mean pre-questions. It was a couple of the cutaways, the reality show cutaways were bizarre, and some of that stuff was out of context, but it was a fun day of shooting.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, you said it was a fun day of shooting, because I was gonna say that looked like you had a great time. I mean, for yourself, and looks like the contestants were having fun up there with you as well.
Bikinis and hula hooping.
Yeah, what's not to love, right?
My girlfriend in between takes. Hey, babe, I'll be home soon. Don't worry, you're still my pick.
Okay, well, that answers another question that I had on my mind about how that went there. Yeah, so all right, good.
Oh yeah,
good.
no, I mean, I'd been in a relationship for 11 years now. I was with my girl then. She knew what was going on. She knew it was all show business. It was cool, and we also were told ahead of time there was no date. Who Wants to Date a Comedian? They never shot a date. That's the end of it. As soon as you pick somebody, that's it. Okay. They said it's up to you now to go on the date, but they don't show that.
All right, good. So, what are some of the what do you see happening next? I mean, you're currently going on tour, and what are some of your upcoming tour dates that you look forward to that are going to be happening?
Well, Vegas seems to be more consistent than anything else right now. So I was just there, but I'll be going back there, and there's numerous clubs there that I'll be working. I'm always ready to go on a overseas military tour. Those are just starting to open up. So before the pandemic, I was committed to one of those, and it got canceled numerous times. So as soon as that gets rescheduled with a solid date, I'll be doing that. And same with cruise ships. I'm hopefully in line to do some cruise ship work, which that's slowly but surely starting to open up again.
Good. Well, before we go here, do you want to give them your website or your social media so anyone watching this can take a look and see where you're going to be?
Yeah, one of the great things that helped me out through the pandemic, I luckily shot a dry bar special just before the pandemic, so that kind of kept me working through the pandemic when there was no stage to go on. So yeah, please go to my website, jeffcapri.com. I do have a dry bar special that has a link to that up there, and there's all kinds of content on my website, more than you probably need. And I'm on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm not on TikTok because I'm over 50.
All right. Well, look forward to seeing that, and look forward to seeing you on cruise ships. And once again, I know the troops are going to be appreciating you coming out to see them, and everyone. That's jeffcapri.com. Look forward to going back to that website and seeing what you do next. So I just want to say thank you very much for being on with me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andre. Had fun.